Yeah.
We're going to get into the Lakers. I mean, like, look,
Max,
the whole question the last couple years.
I didn't say anything about the Lakers, man.
We're going to get come on, we know it.
Max,
yes.
I just want you to know, while you were in Vegas on Friday,
yeah,
I was literally pushing for every Lakers fan that was telling me that we figured it out.
Yeah.
The Rui Hachimura. I want them to call in. I want them to call in and tell me how confident they felt for the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
That was our whole show, and all these fans started calling in. One fan bet me a lot of money. We'll save that one for later, Robert. Don't worry. I jotted your information down. But I just want to ask them to keep calling in today. And
well, listen, it's not
keep
like
talking about their team.
It's not like they didn't figure some things out. It's that just good luck with this Denver team. The whole question since the bubble, because Jokic took another step and then no one was healthy in the playoffs except Jokic. The whole question since then is what's going to happen if the Nuggets ever get healthy in the playoffs? And, oh, my God, like how good are they going to be? Oh, my God. What can you do with Jimmy? He's like a little baby Jimmy Butler. You can't – normally an excellent player when it matters most. Ridiculous.
Yeah, well, enough of that. Anyway.
Yeah, meantime, right. That's not the latest, right?
Anyway.
The Heat, oh, my goodness. They come in. They can't still be underdogs because after game 2, think about this. They're up 2-0. They're going to Miami, and they're still dogs. The analytics give the Celtics the advantage, the whole thing, like 2-1 advantage at home. And oh, my, this was the worst beating of the series so far, Jay.
Look, I've never, in my time watching playoff basketball, I have never, ever seen a team just quit, roll over, and die like the Celtics did last night. I mean, I'm sitting there watching the game, and when Joe Mazzulla is benching his starters in the fourth, and I'm like, no, play them dudes. Play them dudes. Like, I know you're trying to, but this is about something way different than just saving legs for game 4. This is about respect, self-respect. Like, play them. Let them play through it. Let them be embarrassed. They need to feel what it's like to be embarrassed and still be on the court instead of sitting on the sidelines and watch. I've never seen it before. And the Heat and Jimmy Butler they're taking their soul, man. Like, we're watching it in real time, like Mortal Kombat. Like, literally put their arm into their body and say, yank them, come over here. Like, that's what we're watching.
Well, you see it on the screen here. The Heat are now finally favorites for Game 4. Caesars Sportsbook has them as 2-point favorites finally now that they're 1 win away with a home game coming up, another home game, from reaching the NBA Finals.
2 points, though.
What's that?
They only gave 2 points, though. They didn't get
right, yeah, even then, that's a good call. They're favored by a possession. They're favored by 1 possession after winning. Listen, I'm coming back from Vegas last night, right? So, like, leave in the morning because I was working Vasily Lomachenko, Devin Haney, great lightweight title fight, controversial decision, could have gone either way. Anyway, the flight gets there on time. I'm like, okay, but no Wi-Fi on the flight, right? It's not working. United flight. And we land in Newark. Well, listen, make your Wi-Fi work. You don't get called out. We land in Newark. You want to talk about some bums, whoever's making the flight schedules at Newark. We're on the tarmac for 2 hours. We land 6:40, I think. We're on the tarmac. I'm like, I'm watching this Heat Celtics game. I'm going to get there for the first quarter. By the time I got home, third quarter started, they're down 30. Game's over already. Game's over. Like, talk about, this is what Jay said, Key, they took their souls.
Yeah, they took their souls to the point, Jay, where the coach made a decision that he was going to bench guys in the fourth quarter, and then in his post-presser made mention of losing the locker room. And at that point in time, I mean, like, come on, man. Your walking papers is, because you can't come back from that. You can't come back from saying that you've lost your locker room, essentially. That there in itself is a fireable offense.
Well, Key, I mean, I said that a couple of weeks ago, and people were like, oh, what do you mean when they came back and they beat? Look, I thought they lost the locker room. I'm like, yo, man, I'm just trying to tell y'all something feels very, very off with this team. And by the way, if you're Jason Tatum, or if you're Jaylen Brown, if you're Joe Mazzulla, you're saying, damn, we caught a case of the undrafted like that? Like a case of the undrafted? Vincent
Case of
Strus,
the undrafted.
Vincent Strus, Robinson, and Martin Key combined for 79 points.
Yeah, Vincent was the leading scorer, wasn't he?
Yeah, remember
Yeah.
what I told you? 29. Remember what I told you, Jay? Just because
I know.
we say they not good, don't mean that they can't be coached to victory.
Well, they're obviously the better team, Key. I think that's when we were even last week. We're like, are they their championship team? Like the Celtics are a more talented team, but the Miami Heat are the better team.
But the reason I think you got to give the Heat, as you are doing, Jay, extreme credit here is the Celtics. And by the way, Sixers fans must be like, oh my God, we lost to these guys. The Sixers are up 3-2 and have a chance to close them out in Game 6. Tatum goes nuts in that fourth quarter, carries it over to Game 7, drops 51, sets a Game 7 playoff record, the whole thing, and they ride that into this series. It's not like the Celtics had just rolled over in the previous series. Their backs were to the wall. They came through. So that's the team with that momentum. You got to figure they start believing in themselves. That's why when the Heat take their heart like this, by Game 3, they're down 30 basically all game. You just got to tip your cap to the Heat.
Are they the more talented team, though? I know they have less accolades than the Celtics, players, and they didn't get drafted and all that high. But why I say that is, if you're the superior team and you have the more talent and all, man, you're not supposed to be down 3-0. I don't give a damn what nobody say. I don't care. You're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be down 3-0 if your talent is that much more superior than your opponent.
Yo, can I say this, kid? And it's obviously Joe Mazzulla is going to take a lot of hits today.
A beating.
He's going to take a backyard beating today across the national media. But I'm going to sit here and say that, man, like Ime Udoka set this dude's NBA coaching career back like a ton. Like imagine this team, Key, with Ime Udoka as the head coach. Like there was an identity, and like Joe Mazzulla, any coach wants a shot, right? But when you're the head coach of a G League team, and then you're the head coach of Fairmont State for a couple of years, and then you become an assistant with Brad Stevens, and then Brad Stevens takes Danny Ainge's position, and he's the only assistant kept, and then he's with Ime Udoka, and then Udoka gets fired. It's like you're sitting there looking at, Joe Mazzulla today saying, you're so green. Like, that's why we said this was the biggest mismatch in the entire playoffs. It wasn't a player on the court. I mean, Jimmy Butler's been special. It's been Eric Spoelstra going against Joe Mazzulla, first-year head coach with expectations to win. And now you're asking yourself the real question, will he be back as the head coach next year for a team that has lost their identity?
Big boy league. What I would say, you're in the big boy league now. So it's a little different than what you described his coaching career thus far has been. And then you mentioned, will he be back next year, Joe Mazzulla? What I would do if I was Brad Stevens, what I would do is I'd bring him back because it's hard. You just gave him a contract. I don't know exactly what the years were because I don't remember. But you just gave him a contract, so he's got that. You bring him back, and then for my money, what I would then think is that if it's not going well early, just look across the room at Pat Riley and what he was able to do when Van Gundy was the head coach. He came downstairs and he led him to a championship. Maybe Brad Stevens takes that model and say, you know what, I'm going to bring him back. I'm going to let him coach him up and see where it goes and how things go. Because it really, in all honesty, if you want to be honest, Jay, it's unfair to him to be pushed into this position as raw as it's just unfair. He was not equipped to be the head coach of the Boston Celtics coming out of training camp or going into training camp and then all of a sudden coming out of it and I'm the head coach of the Boston Celtics. I mean, that's unfair to him. So Brad Stevens, maybe next year he comes downstairs.
All right, coming up, we're going to hear from Joe Mazzulla. Has he lost the locker room? Have the Celtics quit? By the way, you bring up Pat Riley, Key. David Aldridge had the stat on Twitter, I guess, yesterday or this morning. I saw it this morning early. Pat Riley, the actual number is 24.7%, but that's 25%, right? That's a quarter. Has participated as a player, coach, or executive in 25% of every finals ever played in NBA history. Think about that.
Damn.
The gangsterism. 25% of every finals ever played. There's Pat Riley in one way or another. It is bananas. All right. We'll hear from Joe Mazzulla coming up at the post-game presser last night.